These things, a grant will help a lot these smaller startup companies to come up with beautiful ideas.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to yet another very interesting panel with two speakers that have a lot of wealth and knowledge when it comes to sustainability. I will go into the subject directly because we don't have enough time to discuss. So I would like to start with Mr. Maher. I believe that circular economy is a topic that is very interesting and is, it's been discussed over the past few years. So I would like to ask you about the circular economy and what do leaders get wrong when it comes to the topic in your experience, and what are the misconceptions on a regional level and a global level?
I think the very big challenge is how do you make sure that we have alignment and understanding of the circular economy, which is not really missing. Even if you look at it globally, there are a lot of attempts in terms of we have a lot of universities talking about it as well, so it's going back to education. But if you could talk to government level, we still don't have the alignment, understanding what circular economy is all about. So the definition is not really clear, and that's what's creating the challenge. The other challenge is, a lot of people believe that this is only for large corporate or government, they need to do the strides, forgetting that every one of us actually have to chip in to make it happen. If you don't all the companies come together and work on it, it's never gonna happen. So that's another challenge. The other challenge is they believe this is a very expensive road that we need to be on to make sure we can achieve the circular economy. So that goes back to the definition as well. If we don't have the right clear definition, right path, it's not gonna happen. So what we're trying to do, I happen to sit as well on the UAE Circular Economy Council. Just 2 days ago, we were designing a lab for the circular economy. And through that, we're actually doing it with cooperation with the private sector. So we're trying to involve the private sector. One of the things I mentioned, how can we involve academia as well? So it's very, very important that everybody is on the tune of understanding what circular economy is, clearly defined. We learn from others, but at the same time, create something which is good for us in this environment, for this region, for this country.
Absolutely. Mr. Youssef, I would like to talk now about regulations and policies, because when we talk about biofuels, when we talk about energy, when we talk about sustainability, there has to be a framework put in place. In your opinion, what is the importance of adopting policies and regulations for the energy sector for long-term impact, and specifically the role of biofuels in achieving net zero emissions in the UAE, particularly?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to say, if you look at the biofuels, it is one of the many technologies for sustainable transportation, but it is an immediate effect and immediate solution to start neutralizing the carbon footprint. If you look at matured countries, such as Europe, United States, even right now Malaysia, they have put a mandatory blend of 30% of biodiesel, biofuels, into all their petrol stations. So all, if you are in Malaysia, when you take fuel for your vehicle, it will be already blended with biofuels. If you look at, if you look at having, the government to put policies, this will actually make many companies come to solve this problem. It is very important. And, when you ask me this question, I would have been like, so much enthusiastic and, asking for many things. And, because I really care about the environment. I will tell you that, for the past decade, I am into this. We were selling business to business. But I am very happy that the circular economy and even our government right now, they are already starting policies to put such regulation into these things. So I will be happy to answer you that, I can see it's happening in the UAE. So once it is happening in the UAE, I know that, it's going to be in all the region. And this is something that, it will solve a problem one of the problems that, to achieve the circular economy and sustainability.
Absolutely. As we know, everything stems from the UAE leadership and really pioneering in so many different sectors, specifically now in sustainability. It's the sustainability year. It's COP28 coming around the corner. Mr. Maher, I want to ask about how can businesses, and we talked about this yesterday, how can businesses join the sustainability movement, and how can they sustain impact within the energy sector particularly? We talked about the regulations and the policies, they're coming into place, but how can businesses really just start on the right track?
Sure. If you don't mind, I'd like to allude to the previous question as well. As a ministry, both climate change and Ministry of Economy, we're working on 22 policies, of which 5 policies or regulation already went out last week. And mind you that all of them were done in collaboration with a workshop that we created with private sector. So none of the policies were created just at the ministry and they were transformed. As a matter of fact, we brought them all together. One we were working on related to biofuel, it's how do we control the feedstock of it, which is the used cooking oil. So we created a full paper and gave it to the ministry, and they've adopted that, and now it's going to be released hopefully soon by end of next month, and then we will have that going on. Going back to your question, Joe, you asked about I think it's first of all is to realize what we need to do as a company, any company in the world today. We need first of all recognize that this is something we need to do. I know if I ask how many of the companies around us over here with a show of hands are actually on the sustainability roadmap? One, 2, 3, okay, 3. So 4. So that's mean you yet to realize that this is something important to do. Either because you believe this is not to be done, or you believe you're overwhelmed and you don't need to do it and the government will do the play. We need to get into the bandwagon in understanding and learning from the experiences around us, globally, regionally, and then create a framework for yourself. So we were a large group. We've got a lot of companies, a lot of verticals, and quite of some verticals are oxymoron to each other. For example, we've got a vertical just on circular economy, but we also got a vertical infrastructure project, which is like the railways and the metros in the country and also regionally, which a lot of heavy energy goes over there. But what we're trying to do, and this is what we told the minister last time when I was sitting with him, we're actually, first of all, see the experiences we have in the world, and we're trying to create our own framework. And we see, okay, after we create the framework, there will always be something called placeholders. So you don't necessarily need to do everything today, but at least take a baby step, what needs to be done. And we do not want to do this thing just because somebody in the world be saying that the world will explode by 2050 if we don't reduce 1.5 degrees, right? That's not the mission. The mission is how do we be a partner in conserving the environment and the resources that we have today. So that's why we build that, and then you build your milestone and say, okay, every milestone is going to be over a certain period, and this is how we're going to do it. The other important point is also to connect with the ministries, connect with your Chamber of Commerce's respective cities, so they also have a framework which is also in play, which is happening. So when you coordinate with them, you'll be able to see the collaboration will be stronger, so you'll learn, and they will also learn from your experiences, and overall framework will actually evolve as we speak.
Absolutely. It takes baby steps towards change and specifically sustainable impact for sure. And this naturally leads me to a question, Mr. Youssef, is what is the role, in your opinion, of the public sector in encouraging and creating and enabling private sector to get involved in green initiatives and energies and environment initiatives?
See, for me, I'm a businessman, but also I look at the whole mass. I think if you think about it like right now, some people will be like, wanting to have an organic food. Okay, so they can go to the organic shop, but it will be a premium price. It will be expensive, right? They will pay for it. But after some time, I'm talking about the mass, they might not have the budget for it. So immediately they will switch to the, non-organic food. So if you look at it, we as a country, and I'm just talking about food, and I saw an article, like maybe a month ago, that Italy is banning any food which is GMO. So it came from the government, You know why? Because the government, they are putting the rules. They are putting the rules that not if this is beneficial for the society, they will put rules to ban things. If you look at right now, one of the things that it started 5 years ago for electric vehicles. If you go to the mall or to the hospital, you will see an electric parking in front of the gate. So this is some incentive, right? So it will help people. I'm talking about the mass, the population. They will switch to electric vehicles. So right now, if you look at any sustainable things, which is actually benefiting the whole country and the society, it has to give incentive. It has to give rules from the government. So it will incentivize this. I'm thinking about another thing. Maybe the government can incentivize the business to make it cheaper, right? If you look at solar panels, I remember like 10 years ago, it was more expensive than now. Now the solar panels is economical, and you can put it in my house. But I will tell you right now, because I am Emirati, I get subsidy from the authority, so I will not put solar panel. So but it is workable for the business, right? For my company, I put solar panels. So I can see that if the government put rules, to help businesses to switch from linear economy, traditional economy, to switch to become a circular economy. I will tell you that my family, they are into construction and ready mix. And last time I was in my plant in Dubai Industrial City, I saw a Chinese company. They're doing a green cement. So this is something actually sustainable. This is good for the environment, right? So I can see in the future companies, they will not be formed to be a circular economy company. They will switch from being a traditional company, linear economy business, to switch to become a circular economy business. So this is how I see it in the future, that it can be a mix from regulation from the government and the technology improvement with the green chemistry, with the new technologies, with the academic, so research and development, of course, so it will reduce the prices. If it is reduced, then it could go to the mass.
That's a very interesting point, because companies, when talking about green economy, when talking about circular economy and sustainable initiatives, they feel that it's a hefty cost on their budget. Mr. Maher, I wanted to talk about the opportunities versus the challenges for the private sector to come on board this very crucial agenda for the next 10 years, for the next 20 years, but also what kind of, Mr. Youssef mentioned policy reforms, investment policy reforms. How can we incentivize the public sector to really come on board the right way? So can you give us your...
Sure. If you look at global trends, the two mega trends which is driving the world today is about digital economy and circular economy. Of course, the third trend, which I don't believe in it, which is food security, and I believe we don't have a problem with the food security, we have got a problem with the food distribution. And digital economy will actually fuel the development of circular economy. So all your technology advancement, which is coming in today in the world today, actually fueling the acceleration of the circular economy. So the good thing is about it, what is circular economy? Is to make sure that the product which you produce today, you'll be able to use it a number of times. So what I need to do, I need to go back to my design from the product perspective and change the way it is designed, that it can be reused again and again and again. So it's not recycling, it's actually making sure it is used a number of times. So that's one thing. I think the opportunities are immense. Initially, people thought that if we do a circular economy, there'll be a lot of lost jobs. As a matter of fact, this trend has created a huge amount of public force where a lot of jobs have been created. Look at the number of companies working on a lot of initiatives just coming up for the circular economy, from the product designing, marketing of it, the supply chain of it. It's completely designed. It has to be completely redesigned all over again, and the thought process about it has to be different. So the huge economy being created. This is another important economy. Of course, the challenges are there. I think, as he's alluded to, government plays, all the cylinders need to be fired, i.e. all of us need to come together and collaborate. But I always believe that the government is central to any changes we want to do, whether it's digital economy or whether it's circular economy. If we don't have rules, guidance for us, I think people will not be able to abide by it. I do come across a lot of greenwashing. When I was in Europe, I've been sitting over there for a number of years during my previous career. There's a lot of greenwashing going on because there are regulations, but there's no monitoring. So the government, what they need to do, first of all, identify what are the projects you want to work on that will help the coming technology. So one of the things we were blessed of as a group at the Sarkal, we were posed a problem in 1984 about the blockages of the municipal lines in the city. And these municipal lines, to unclog them, cost a lot of money, time. Imagine you're blocking all this kind of thing. So we came up with a solution, working with the government and through a BOT contract, and then we were able to design a solution for them. And this is the only plant that we have today, the entire Middle East, where we take all the fat and oil grease and we treat it. But it's very important of a government to continually is doing that by actually providing tax breaks, wherever it's possible, right? So you need to make sure that the startup cost, which is very heavy in the beginning, there's some subsidies need to be there by the government, so you're able to produce and put this solution. Musabbah also talked about that they have also launched, and a couple of panels ago, by ADNOC, they've launched a program where they actually created a lot of ideas. 120 companies came back, and the prize money is $1 million. They will announce it next month. These things, a grant will help a lot these smaller startup companies to come up with beautiful ideas. But it starts with government, coming up with regulation, identification process, and then collaboration. These three things.
So the ecosystem is being built to actually, in your opinion, to attract more businesses from outside of the UAE to come and create a hub within the UAE to advance the agenda?
I think UAE is one of the leading company, which a lot of people did not know about as well. If you look at Masdar, which has been there for 14, 16 years, right? We were one of the largest solar panel creator or manufacturer. Today, both Dubai and Abu Dhabi is the home of the largest solar panel producers globally. And the power we're going to be generating out of that, like 5.6 gigawatt coming up from Abu Dhabi and 5.0 gigawatt coming in from Dubai itself by 2027, that's huge just coming from solar panel. Look at what he talked about carbon capturing. A lot of people didn't know that we've been doing carbon capturing since 2016. There are only 3 large companies who globally do carbon capturing, which are Carbon Engineering in Quebec, Canada. There's one carbon company in US, and there's one carbon capturing company which is in Switzerland. 3 of them. Of course, now more coming up, but they're very small scale. With the second phase that we just announced in September last month, will be one of the biggest. And of course, the government now, which is ADNOC, partnering with a Occidental Petroleum Company, a private company in US. And the reason why they're doing carbon capturing is because they bought the Canadian company in Squamish, which is also now they're based in Dallas, and they're actually coming up with the plans. So the government plays a big role in making that happen. And if you look at Masdar, they're not only investing in local companies over here, but they're been investing for the last 15 years in global companies, wherever the great ideas are there. But the ecosystem has been created beautifully in UAE, where a lot of companies you can see coming over and investing over here because of how you make sure the government is playing a huge role in making those things happen.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I think I need to wrap up, but I would like to wrap up with a final question around COP28 being around the corner. We're going to see a lot of, if not most of the leaders present in COP28, companies, organizations, everyone that is very much worried and interested and wants to advance the agenda of the climate change, sustainable development, and so on. In your opinion, Mr. Youssef, what's next? What would you like to see next post COP28?
Believing in the youth. Believing in the youth, I believe that the young generation, our generation or our previous generation, we have harmed the world, from the beginning, making coal and then petroleum and then, cutting the trees and harming the environment. We lived a nice, life, we breathe a good air, but for the next generation, for our kids, for the next generation, what they're gonna do? I believe those guys, we have to weaponize them in knowledge, with the new technology, so they can solve this problem. I believe that, with the research and development, COP28 is giving us a boost, actually, in this region, in the UAE, and also, the Gulf region. I would believe we will be pioneer in this. We will be pioneer in making circular economy. I believe we will be advanced in, doing research and development. So yeah, this is how I see it. That's how I see it, yeah.
So future generations and youth getting involved,
Exactly, yeah.
actually, in Mr. Maher.
Okay, before getting to youth, I think it's important that we need to be sincere in what we want to do. I thought COP26 in Glasgow was a turning point for people getting sincere. Despite pledging $100 billion for their startup companies, only $20 billion were utilized. Then I thought, okay, maybe 27 would be good in Sharm el-Sheikh, but nothing happened. But I can assure you, I mean, Dr. Sultan Jaber, I mean, before summer, he was visiting almost 2 countries a week, trying to get as many real pledges by world leaders to make sure things happen. I sincerely believe there's a lot going on with us taking the COP28. You'll see a turning point, but I think we go back in the world leaders to walk the talk, and it's very important. We've not seen that happening, unfortunately. I'll say it openly again and again till the cows come back home. Coming back to the young generation, I also happen to sit as a board of chairman of schools. We're part of ISP schools. We've got 60,000 children, both locally, regionally, internationally. Unfortunately, the youth are divided into it. So I'm not fully aligned with what you're saying, but I speak to them. If I put it 50-50, so let's just to be fair, there are 50% who believe the environment, we need to take care of the environment, so they're looking at the technologies and so forth. But the other 50%, they don't even care about it. They're completely lethargic, to be honest with you. So, and that's normal. You know, you cannot have everybody tangoing the same thing. So we need to make enough efforts. How do we inculcate that? Because the problem we're trying to solve, as if it's the problem for today or our generation, which is fine, we need to do that. But we also need to go back to the school system and change that. So luckily, alhamdulillah, Ministry of Education have actually launched a program a couple of months ago where they have going to train about 2,000 to 3,000 teachers as train-to-trainer program as a pilot, so they can make sure that the children are taught about these kind of things, but there will be a curriculum. What we're trying to do ahead of that time is like teaching 5 things to our children. One of them is circular economy. So we're embedding that in our curriculum as an elective from the schooling system. We're also working with universities. I'm personally involved with a couple of universities talking about circular economy itself and digital economy as well. I'm speaking next Saturday about entrepreneurship and digital economy in New York University, just to create that mindset. So there's a lot of things we need to talk about because digital economy will actually fuel in the development of this thing. So going back, one message is we need sincerity from the leadership team.
I think we're on the right track. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me today to discuss this very important topic. And thank you to our audience for being so attentive. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.